when raw power meets pure chaos in the MMA world. Let's talk about Vyacheslav Datsik, a fighter who didn't just break the rules, he rewrote them. With a history of shocking victories and a reputation for unpredictability, Datsik's career is filled with jaw-dropping moments that defy logic. From knocking out legends in seconds to leaving seasoned champions in disbelief, his rise in MMA is a story of fury, rebellion, and pure instinct. Curious about what made Red Tarzan one of the most dangerous and controversial figures in combat sports? Strap in, because his story is one you won't forget. Imagine a fighter so ferocious that even legends feared him, a man whose fists carried the power of chaos itself. Despite his rugged appearance and lack of technical skill, he sent shockwaves through the MMA world, leaving destruction in his wake. This is the story of Vyacheslav Datsik, a fighter as unpredictable as he was powerful. Raised in the unforgiving wilds of Russia, Datsik's life reads like a Hollywood script, blending grit, glory, and absolute madness. Born in 1980, Vyacheslav Datsik was a walking hurricane of chaos from an early age. Growing up in Russia's toughest corners, his rebellious streak saw him picking fights everywhere he went, racking up an unbelievable 16 concussions before adulthood. To call him a wild child feels tame. Datsik was more of an uncontained force of nature. At 18, he found an outlet for his aggression in professional fighting, a career that allowed him to unleash his inner fury within the confines of a ring. For someone who thrived on violence, the chance to throw punches legally was a perfect fit. Lacking finesse but brimming with raw strength, Datsik quickly earned the nickname Red Tarzan, a nod to his blazing red hair and primal, unpolished fighting style. His first professional fight couldn't have been more intimidating. He faced Andrei Arlovski, a future UFC champion known as Pitbull. Arlovski, a trained and disciplined martial artist, was the definition of precision and skill. Datsik, on the other hand, was an unpredictable street brawler fueled by sheer power and audacity. The fight began as many expected, with Arlovski dominating early, landing clean, calculated blows that showcased his superior technique. For a moment, it seemed like Datsik was outmatched. But then, in a flash of brute force, Datsik unleashed a punch so devastating it sent Arlovski crashing to the canvas, shocking everyone in attendance. This explosive debut didn't just announce Datsik's arrival, it sent a clear message. Skill and strategy might win fights, but raw, unrelenting aggression could end them in an instant. Red Tarzan had stormed onto the scene, and the MMA world would never be the same. The fight began, and Arlovski showcased his superior skill, treating Datsik like a human punching bag. For the entire first round, the crowd watched as the Pitbull dominated the wild underdog. But just when it seemed Datsik was done for, he unleashed a thunderous punch, knocking Arlovski out cold and leaving the audience in awe. Red Tarzan had arrived. Datsik's victory catapulted him into the MMA spotlight, but his personal life was anything but stable. When he wasn't fighting in the ring, he was fighting the law, literally. Alternating professional bouts with armed robberies, Datsik's criminal antics became as infamous as his knockouts. Eventually, his erratic behavior led to a psychiatric evaluation and he was declared insane. Datsik escaped the hospital, fled to Norway, and was ultimately deported back to Russia, where he spent 9 years in prison. Released in 2019, Datsik returned to the fight scene, albeit a shadow of his former self. Years behind bars had taken their toll, and his once imposing physique now carried the weight of his past. Yet, his raw power and unrelenting aggression remained intact. Organizations hesitated to work with him, fearing his unpredictable nature. But Datsik was determined to prove that Red Tarzan still had fight left in him. One of Vyacheslav Datsik's most unforgettable victories came against Alexander Emelianenko, a towering figure in MMA and the younger brother of legendary fighter Fedor Emelianenko. With a career that boasted bouts against icons like Mirko Krokop and Fabricio Werdum, Alexander's technical prowess and experience made him a heavy favorite. Critics and fans alike dismissed Datsik's chances, expecting a quick and decisive win for Emelianenko. When the fight began, the atmosphere was charged with anticipation. Few could have predicted what would unfold next. Within just 10 seconds of the opening bell, Datsik unleashed his trademark ferocity. Channeling every ounce of his primal strength, he landed a devastating punch that sent Alexander crashing to the canvas. The knockout wasn't just shocking, it was legendary. Emelianenko, a fighter revered for his resilience, was retired on the spot. The crowd erupted in disbelief and excitement as the underdog's raw power toppled a seasoned titan of the sport. In that moment, Datsik solidified his place in MMA history, proving that his unpredictable and brutal fighting style could overcome even the most skilled opponents. Despite his controversies, Datsik's ability to defy expectations in the ring made him a force that no one could ignore. Vyacheslav Datsik's reputation as a wild and unpredictable fighter made him the perfect opponent for equally eccentric challengers. One such clash was against Jono dos Santos, a massive Brazilian powerhouse nicknamed the Ring Chef for his knack for dismantling opponents as though preparing a gourmet meal. With his intimidating physique and fiery persona, Dos Santos was confident he could outmatch the unorthodox Red Tarzan. In the lead-up to their fight, Dos Santos tried to unnerve Datsik with trash talk and mind games. Yet, rather than shaking him, the antics only added fuel to Datsik's already blazing fire. The Russian brawler entered the ring with his signature ferocity, determined to prove who was the true apex predator. When the bell rang, it became immediately apparent that Dos Santos had underestimated his opponent. Datsik charged forward, launching a relentless barrage of punches that left the Brazilian giant stumbling. Though Dos Santos managed to rise after being knocked down, his confidence was visibly shattered. His trademark bravado dissolved under Datsik's unrelenting assault, and the once feared ring chef found himself unable or unwilling to continue. The fight ended not just with Datsik's victory, but with a statement. He had dismantled the ring chef as though proving there was no recipe for handling his chaos. By forcing Dos Santos to concede, Datsik solidified his status as an untamed force in combat sports, a fighter whose unpredictability and power left even the most confident challengers in ruins. Next up for Vyacheslav Datsik was Antônio Bigfoot Silva, a towering Brazilian MMA legend known for his victories over some of the sport's greatest, including Fedor Emelianenko and Alistair Overeem. With his colossal frame and impressive resume, Silva was widely expected to be a formidable challenge for the unpredictable Red Tarzan. On paper, Silva's technical skill and experience seemed like the perfect counter to Datsik's raw aggression. But as the fight began, it quickly became evident that Datsik had no intention of playing by the book. From the opening bell, he unleashed a relentless barrage of punishing blows, turning the bout into a one-sided spectacle. Silva, despite his size and credentials, appeared powerless against Datsik's sheer ferocity. The fight became a brutal showcase of raw power versus precision, and Datsik's wild, animalistic nature triumphed. By the time the referee stepped in to stop the fight, Silva was utterly defeated, a shadow of the legendary fighter he once was. Datsik, ever the showman, punctuated his victory with a primal roar, cementing his reputation as an unrelenting force of chaos in the ring. Perhaps the most bizarre matchup of Datsik's career came against Tyson Dijon, a flashy, smaller fighter nicknamed the King of Rooster Hairstyles. Known for his speed and theatrical style, Dijon relied on agility and finesse to outmaneuver his opponents. For a brief moment, it seemed he might outwit the lumbering Red Tarzan, landing quick strikes and dictating the pace of the fight. But Datsik, as unpredictable as ever, quickly turned the tables. Unfazed by Dijon's flashy antics, he unleashed a devastating flurry of punches that sent his opponent flying. Literally. In a dramatic conclusion, Datsik knocked Dijon out of the ring, leaving the crowd stunned and solidifying his reputation as a larger-than-life figure in combat sports. From knocking out legends to taking on giants, Datsik's journey is as captivating as it is controversial. Love him or hate him, one thing is certain: Vyacheslav Datsik was, and always will be, a fighter like no other. So what do you think? Was Datsik the wildest force MMA has ever seen? Or just a ticking time bomb waiting to explode? His career may have been unpredictable, but one thing's for sure, his legacy is unforgettable. If you enjoy the chaos and want more insane stories from the world of combat sports, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for all the wild updates, and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on the madness. What's next? Stay tuned, you won't want to miss it.